Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Random Shit. Random Guy, as always, I'm your host, Phil, and we are already off with some technical difficulties. Hopefully, the podcast music doesn't just start blasting because it ain't working right now. Um, so I'm going to turn that down just in case if it decides to start playing. Anyways, thank you for joining and watching this episode. I'm assuming you'll be watching it later, or you might join in on the conversation. If so, make sure you hop in those conversations. Let me know what you're thinking. We are going to be doing a lot of television talk today. That's right. We're going to be talking about TV deals. It's going to be the main focus of this week's episode, especially with the big news from Netflix that come out late last night, early this morning. But before we get into all that talk, make sure you like this podcast, hit that notification bell. Let me know what is going on in the comments down below. That's right. Make sure you like, subscribe, leave a comment, tell a friend, tell a neighbor, tell an enemy. I don't give a fuck. Just tell them to come and check out Random Shit, Random Guy. As we are continuing, this is episode 8. Now we are very slow at getting back into the groove, but we are trying our damnedest. Technical difficulties beware. We are working as hard as we can to keep this podcast rolling. As you guys know, since we relaunched, this is a wrestling-based podcast. But today we're going to be kind of talking TV deals outside of just the wrestling world. The wrestling is our main impact. We're going to be talking about the Netflix deal. We're also going to be talking about TNA at AMC and how that affects things. We're going to talk about how this Netflix deal by purchasing Warner Brothers Discovery is going to affect AEW, or how WWE plays into all this. So, like I said, if you like this, if you listen this far, like, subscribe, hit that button, hit that notification bell so you know when we go live again. But let's start off, like I said, the big news of the day. Warner Brothers Discovery has been purchased by wrestling is so far on my mind. Warner Brothers Discovery has been purchased by Netflix for $82 billion, an industry that has been around, a company that's been around for over 100 years. Warner Brothers has picked up things over the years. One of the big ones in the year 2000, they picked up Turner Broadcasting, which would later be joined into the Warner Brothers family under Warner Brothers AOL. That time when Warner Brothers picked up the Turner Broadcasting side of things, they picked up CNN, TNT, TBS, and basically their news, all the news outlets. I think that CNN2 was the thing then. I don't know, but all the things that Ted Turner created. At that time, they also picked up WCW. And if you guys know me, you know I'm a huge WCW mark. Above my head right here are just nothing but WCW figures. And when change happens and big companies purchase things, some things go on the wayside. In year 2001, like I was talking about, when the acquisition of Turner Broadcasting by Warner Brothers happened, a big thing that affected me was the fact that they didn't want wrestling anymore. Now, that's not a thing right now. Everybody wants wrestling right now. Netflix already has wrestling. HBO has wrestling right now with AEW. AMC just got into the wrestling game. CW's in the wrestling game. Paramount's in the UFC game, but in turn might as well be in the WWE game. So everybody's wanting wrestling, but in the year 2001, that wasn't the case, and that is what led WCW to close up shop and be sold to Vince McMahon, which would ultimately join the WCW into and be the last nail in the coffin at the time to WWE. I think it was I think it was WWF by that point. It might not have been WWE. My timeline is pretty bad with when they got the F out. That being said, that was just a little history lesson of kind of how we got to where we are today. 6 years ago, AEW went on to the Turner Network, which is owned by Warner Brothers. And at the time, it was just Warner Brothers. And then they added, and I want to say 2 years in, it became Warner Brothers Discovery. And Warner Brothers Discovery is what has gone up for sale. Now, that being said, not all of Warner Brothers has been up for sale. For $82 billion, Netflix is 82. Netflix just bought Warner Brothers Studios and television studios, HBO and HBO Max for $82 billion, while Discovery has kind of gone off on their own side because originally the plan was to find a buyer for Warner Brothers Discovery as a whole. That didn't go as planned, so Discovery has taken the television side, and they will, in the third quarter of next year, create their own company. Now, that is likely still up for sale, but after they just got $82 billion, they might hold on to their television for a little while. I don't know if they want to get out of that game completely, but they are getting out of the movie making business, and they are selling off a lot of their products that way to Netflix. Now, Netflix is going to become kind of a monopoly. I mean, let's face it, they have purchased one of their competitors, and this deal has to be okayed by Congress still, and I'm sure it will. We're under the Trump administration where that kind of shit just, businesses, if they want to do something, it gets done. But the talking point is, will this affect AEW? Is AEW going to be okay? I clickbaited this whole thing by, is AEW in trouble? And I'm going to start off by saying, I don't think so. No, I don't, because they have a 2-year contract. That being said, Netflix is not getting, they're buying everything. So they're getting those new contracts. They're not going to cut ties before a contract's up because they might have to pay more money. Also, being involved in that is AEW is paying the production cost. AEW is covering everything on the show being made. They're getting paid to give them a product. So that it's a very, even though it's a lot of money compared to what they're paying WWE, it's a lot less. And as of right now, Netflix isn't responsible for that. Now, part of the AEW deal is they will be on TNT, TBS. They will also stream on Max. That's where Netflix comes into play. As of right now, the Netflix people say that they are not planning on shutting down HBO Max. That HBO Max will continue being its own separate entity of Netflix. They will just own it. They're also saying that they're going to continue the theatrical releases of films, something they currently don't do. And I say when it comes down to this deal, you look historically at another company that is in the same boat as Netflix, which is Amazon. A few years ago, Amazon purchased MGM Studios, which created some of, fucking the James Bond movies and all that. They got picked up by Amazon. And MGM still puts films in theaters. They also have a short window for that, but they still go to theaters. Now, if you are a physical media collector, like myself, I don't know how many physical media products will be going out from Warner Brothers, but let's face it, there's not a lot of them now, so it's kind of like not going to affect the overall plan that is already set into motion, because physical media, even though we don't want it to die, it is dying. It is not going to survive. Ultimately, that being said, there's still a market for it now. And if they still see a small market, they will continue to do it. And they will still continue to put it out. But we're a wrestling show. Like I said, let's focus on the wrestling side of this. HBO is only a small factor of the audience for AEW. Now, they are a decent sized audience. I would say probably 30% of their audience is, it might be more. It might be 50-50, to be honest with you. I don't know, because HBO doesn't give out those numbers. Netflix doesn't give out those numbers, so you don't know the real streaming audience. That being said, if they are planning to keep HBO Max as its own thing, like they're saying right now, why would you take one of your sports away from, and I'm saying AEW is a sport because they list it under their sports tab on their app. Why would you take one of your sports away to then have to find new spots to fill it? I think what is going to happen is, because TNT and TBS are going to stay with Discovery, that you are going to see business as usual. Where I think it's going to affect is in 2 years. Now, as of right now, in 2 years, Warner Brothers, or I guess now Netflix, or Netflix / Discovery, holds an option year. Now, that third option year is when things will hit the rut. We'll see, are we going to stay the course, or are we going to veer to the rut? Is AEW going to go backwards, or are they going to continue to go forward? That is when we will see. Now, and I think what's going to play into a factor of this is how well the pay-per-view numbers do on HBO Max. Are we going to see AEW start pushing more towards Amazon like they were doing prior to the HBO Max? If so, I could see the streaming rights to AEW after 2 years going to someone like Amazon. Amazon likes to have those live stream. They like to have more live stream options. They have ONE FC that's not exactly the most profitable, but they still show it. They also have, NFL on Thursday nights. That's their money maker. They put on other events. So it's not like they're not in the live event game. I wouldn't be shocked if you saw someone like, and this is a big if, this is all hypothetical in the sky, if they get dropped by HBO after the 2 years, you could see them going to another streamer, or you could see them, they may just stay on television. I mean, let's face it, they're a good option for Discovery. Discovery tried having their own wrestling, and it with the micro wrestlers from Gatlinburg. So you could see them putting more into AEW. The way it sounds, their relationship is strong. It seems like it's been strong for a long time. Now, this is the Tony Khan side of things. It may not be peaches and cream, but they gave them a shit ton of money to stay on the network that they didn't have to do. They could have dropped them then. They could have withdrawn from wrestling. They could have been like, no, we're going to get out of this game, but they didn't want to, because wrestling is affordable. Wrestling brings in numbers. They bring in a key demographic from 18 to 30 that television networks want. Now, are they delivering where they probably should? No. I don't think any wrestling. I think that if Freddie Prinze Jr. is correct, then ESPN has regrets of getting into the bed with WWE. I don't think the numbers that they advertise are ever going to be the numbers that they get, if that makes sense. So it's like really hard to feel bad for them because your numbers in wrestling are very hard to track now. It's very, very hard to track. It has always been hard to track because like the ratings really aren't real. But how do you track the ratings when you don't know what the streaming numbers are? Or how do you sell a show from one network to another? It's just really tough to see where you're going to go when you don't know the numbers. So I'm curious to see how that's going to affect. But as of right now, AEW is fine. They're not going anywhere. They're not going to get booted because of WWE yet. Now, 2 years down the road, contracts are up. That wasn't their original contract. They don't want to pay that deal anymore. Maybe it gets canceled because they're like, well, we already have wrestling and it doesn't do as well as we like it to do. So why would we do that? Or you could be, if they continue keeping these apps separate, WWE is one that likes to go across several platforms, but are they going to go to the Warner Brother platform with one of their shows? At that point, you could see maybe, the Peacock deal will be over. As of right now, it's pretty much just the Saturday night main events that are going to be on Peacock, and you have they have SmackDown on Fridays on USA. So if that deal's up, you could maybe see them go to Warner Brothers. But at that point, if WWE is going to be all on one platform like they are internationally, why would you just put that on HBO Max? You would just go all in, no pun intended, on all your content being on one app like it is internationally. You can go on Netflix. You wouldn't want to have half on Netflix and half on HBO Max unless if those numbers are doing that good, which I don't think they are. This is all speculation. I'm not an inside analyst. I'm just a fucking fan just like all of you. So I don't know. But I would be shocked if you saw WWE go on to HBO Max and Netflix when Netflix owns them both. So AEW being there is a strong option to have wrestling now. Let's throw some monkey into this wrench. A wrench into this monkey, or whatever however the fuck you want to say it. TNA just got a television deal. The TNA television deal starts on January 15th. Trying to get all the details up. January 15th on AMC. AMC is getting in the wrestling game. That's right. The House of the Walking Dead, Mad Men, Breaking Bad, all those great sports classics is now the home of AMC. Is now the home of TNA. Now, the money deal has not come out. We just know it's a multi-year media rights deal to bring TNA to AMC and AMC Plus. It's going to be a 2-hour show just like they're doing now on Thursday nights. It's called Thursday Night Impact. And it'll kick off on January 15th. It will be a weekly show. They have a certain amount of live dates they have to hit, and then they will be doing recorded shows like they do now. I don't know what their plans are for the library. I don't know if TNA Plus is going to stay a thing, if the pay-per-views, or as they call them, PLEs, are going to stay on their website, or if they're going to go to AMC. I wouldn't be shocked if you started this thing in the first 6 months, AMC getting the Thursday night show, pay-per-view staying on AMC. The pay-per-view staying on TNA Plus, and then you get the streaming, because we know WWE helped them get this deal. Carlos Silva, the president of TNA Wrestling, has come out and said, hey, we're still working with them. They helped us get this deal. Carlos Silva has been like, he said, we're super excited to bring in-ring excitement, energy, and drama back to TNA. We are super excited to bring the in-ring excitement and energy and drama of TNA Wrestling to AMC. AMC Wrestling is TNA heads into 2006 is the hottest it's ever been. That's a fucking lie. You're heading in to. So if you watch TNA, or if you don't, TNA has been on a hiatus since their biggest show of the year. They got the most people in an arena and crowned a new champion, and then took a month off television, and then come back and did an episode, and then took more weeks off television and crowned a new champion. So now going into January 15th, you're going in on one of your deadest periods in your company's history to create this. Now, the show they will be doing a new television show that's going to kick off from Dallas, which is ironic because that's where AEW has done so much work over the last few years that now TNA is going to try and take over that area at the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, which I believe is the same place that AEW did their residency. I could be wrong. No, they were at the Esports Arena. And that could be the same place, but I might be wrong. Anyway, Thursday Night Impact will kick off there. But like I said, Carlos Silva said they're heading into their hottest year with intense rivalries, a fan base that loves TNA stars. We cannot wait to expand the TNA audience in with our new partner, AMC Networks, which has a long, storied history of serving passionate and engaged fans across so many shows and franchises through the new media rights deal. TNA's impressive growth and success is driven by stories and characters, says the AMC president, Dan McDermott. We put fans in the center of everything we do, and TNA has built a brand in its programming, blah, 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 a.k.a. TNA's fucking cheap. We want to try the wrestling game because movies are getting expensive with streaming rights deals. It's harder to get them. We need something to keep AMC alive. The theaters aren't doing well. Let's try live events. Let's try it with TNA. They're an affordable option, and let's see how that works. Like, I hate how these companies sugarcoat shit, and it makes sense to do it. I mean, like, why wouldn't you? But still, it's like, ugh. Just, it feels dirty. And overall, I would be shocked if AMC's paying a lot of money for this. I really would. Now, is TNA winning? Even if they're not paying a lot of money? Fuck yeah, they are. They're currently on Access. I'll let you think about that one for a second. Access TV. How many people has access to Access? Not very many. It got so bad they had to put their own television show on their own app because nobody could find it to watch it. And it's just insane to think that Anthem, a television network out of Canada, owns this thing, and they can't find their own. They had to find another television deal because their own company sucks at this, and has sucked at it for a long time. Now, is the wrestling good? Sometimes. Sometimes the stories are good. Sometimes the wrestling's good. Was it better a year ago than it is now? I think so. I think the product was better a year ago than it is now. One of the things that is missing that I thought helped a lot is the last president. What is his name? My brain's not working today. And I know this makes for a shitty podcast. Who was the last president of TNA? And y'all are like screaming at me, "You fucking idiot!" Like, yeah, that's how I feel right now. Anyways, TNA. The last TNA president was. Oh my god, I can't even find it. Anyways, not fucking important, and it's gonna pop in my head because he was part of Team Canada. He's got the glasses, the headset, his face is right here. I don't know why I can't think of it. I just can't think of it. Anyway, the point I was trying to make is he did a lot better than Carlos Silva on creating the product And all right, this is gonna drive me nuts. Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling. Who owns that? Because that's his name. I'm hitting a fucking pothole. Scott D'Amore. Oh my god, I couldn't think of that. Scott D'Amore. Scott D'Amore did a so much better job, in my opinion, on booking the show. Now, the thing I hope comes out of this AMC deal is one, wrestlers get paid more. And I think that's going to happen because a lot of wrestlers let their deal run out because they knew a television deal was coming. I hope the production of the show looks better. I hope they invest in their own stuff. As of right now, TNA doesn't own their own rings. TNA doesn't own their own production stuff. They don't own anything. They rent all that shit. So it's like, this is a time for a fresh start, a new coat of paint on a new network, new fans, new eyes. TNA is the company that does not die. They started off buying Fox time and then buying time on Spike, and then they get on Spike, and then they go dark, and then they get bought by Anthem, and then they go on Access, and then they go on TNA Plus, and now they're on AMC. Now, I think one of the best things that's happened was Scott D'Amore working with WWE originally to help get Mickie James in the Rumble, followed by Jordan Grace. He then took it back from Impact to TNA, which I think was a big thing, and that was kind of the end of his deal. But one of the things that he had put in motion was the Joe Hendry stuff. Now, TNA got fucked with Joe Hendry. Now, but they also fucked themselves because they didn't take advantage of it. One of the things they didn't do, they don't crown champions when they're at their hottest. They wait until they get stale to do it. It's like, do it at the beginning or don't do it at all. Like, they just did that with Mike Santana. Mike Santana, they missed an opportunity in New York in his hometown to crown him the champion. Then they do it at Bound for Glory. And then they say, fuck that. We're going to cancel all that, and we're going to re-crown him on AMC. New champion, new network. But is it a new champion when you let him be a champion for a month and then took a month off of television? He had to defend his title on the indies, not on television, definitely not on a big market. I really hope that this television deal helps TNA become a better product. I don't know that it will. One of the things that I think could use a change is I think they could get rid of Tommy Dreamer. I think they could get rid of, I think his name's Delirious. Who was booking for Ring of Honor. He's not done a great job on TNA. Those are two. Get rid of them. Start fresh. Find a new booker. Find just new network, new everything. Fresh coat of paint. Give that a try. How does that affect AEW? How does that affect WWE? Well, they're still working with WWE. So WWE are going to get those contracts, know when they're available, and just pick them up. Just like they did Joe Hendry. Just like they did Jordan Grace. What they're probably going to do to Mike Santana. Like, there are people that are loyal as fuck to TNA. Eddie Edwards is one of those guys that come to mind. And it's like, these guys deserve better. So let's do better for them. This past weekend was War Games. WWE Survivor Series War Games. And it was really hard for me to watch that show and not compare it to Blood and Guts. The reason why, they both took place in the same month. They were both kind of forced together. But this War Games just didn't hit the same for me. The women's match outshined the men's match. That's happened every year at War Games. The women, as Denise Salcedo says, the women are money. They are money in WWE right now. that storyline was awesome, and it set up for more storylines. Like you have the Rhea and Charlotte working together, and then immediately on Raw, that set up a tag match with Rhea and um, Io Sky going up against Charlotte and God, I'm bad with names today. Charlotte and Alexa Bliss, and then they got jumped by the Judgment Day women. So it's like you just pumped new blood into a division you didn't give a shit about with women with 4 hot teams. So now the women's tag titles can grow and build upon what they had already started. And that, I think, helped move it forward. The women's championship match was shit. We knew it was going to be shit. I actually fast forwarded through a couple minutes of it because I watched it the next day and didn't love it. John Cena and Dominic Mysterio, that was fun. John Cena's got one more match. He just lost to Dom. Does he go out losing 2? Did he lay on his shield for Dom and that was his last one looking at the lights? I mean, Dom is of the 3 names left that can be his last opponent. We know it's going to be Gunther. But I mean, of the last 3 guys, Dom, LA Knight, and Gunther, I think Dom is the future of the 3. And he just did the job for him. So does that mean he gets the celebration that he deserved, the fans deserve? Does he go out on top? We'll find that out in just a week and a half. Less than 10 days will be John Cena's last match. 8 days from today, 1 week from tomorrow, John Cena's last match. And it's probably, it's going to be Gunther. And most likely they will let him, John Cena will go out looking at the lights. But a better idea to me is John Cena wins his match. And then somebody like Obafemi comes in and just fucking destroys him. Or somebody from NXT that's already on the show comes in and destroys him and creates the future. You got to celebrate John Cena. John Cena gave the fans something to leave looking forward to. But the second hope was given, it gets drawn away, and then you never see John Cena in the ring again. I just think that's just more of a poetic way to end things. Again, that's probably not how they're going to do things, but it would be nice if they did. That would be a fun way to end things. But War Games just didn't live up to it for me. Now, the one thing coming out of the men's War Games match was who jumped the cage in the black hoodie. And everything points to Austin Theory being the guy. Is Seth Rollins responsible for that? That's a possibility. Seth could come back as a manager to Austin Theory, and Austin Theory kind of be the next guy in line for that, because I don't think the Vision is behind it, but somebody is, and I think that somebody could be Seth Rollins looking to ruin the day. It could be anybody. Now, I do believe it was. The good thing about someone behind the mask or somebody that you don't see the face is you can use the obvious person, but it doesn't have to end that way. AEW did that with the Devil. The Devil mask person changed a ton, but at the end it was Adam Cole. Who could it be? It's interesting. I would like to see it be. If it's Austin Theory, I would like to see Seth come back as a mouthpiece for Austin Theory. Give Austin Theory a good heel run, a different heel run. That would be fun. And then you could have him go up against guys like, Punk and Maybe give him a run against Brock. Or more importantly, you could have two big names as Braun Breaker can ascend, and at the same time, you rebuild Austin Theory. Austin Theory's had a lot of start stops. He's been the guy who was supposed to be the next John Cena. John Cena gave him a U.S. title match, and he beat John Cena. And nothing. Then he got put in a tag team. And then he just kind of went to tag team hell. So, how do you rebuild him? This will be a good opportunity. I don't know. I'm not a booker. I'm just a fan. But that's all I got for this week. I do want to shout out my buddy Matt for hooking me up with this. Now, as you guys know, I am a collector. And I've been looking for this figure for a couple weeks now. And thanks to my buddy Matt, it's in my possession. And I wanted to show you guys. This is Dusty Rhodes LJN. Now, the Dusty Rhodes LJN is all over. I'm trying to find the best way to do this without, there we go, without all the glare, because I don't. Dusty Rhodes LJN is a Target exclusive right now from Mattel. Now, I was not an LJN kid. I will admit that. The first LJN I ever had was the first LJN everybody had, which was the Hulk Hogan, which is found on the back of the packaging. They have redone the Hogan LJN, and they've done a John Cena, which is perfect with the Last Time Is Now tour. A Logan Paul, which is a great new name. He's hot with the kids. He's hot on the, in wrestling. He's everywhere with social media. My man Dusty Rhodes. And now this Dusty is a figure I never thought I would have. It says WWE Superstars, Dusty Rhodes. The American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, is just the common man working hard with his hands, known for his soul and charisma. The 275-pound superstar from Austin, Texas, hits the ring ready to deliver a devastating bionic elbow for the 1, 2, 3. I love this figure. Now, I wasn't able to get the Big Rubber Guys version of Dusty Rhodes because it was outside my budget. But thanks to Matt for sending me this for Christmas, I am now the owner of a Dusty Rhodes LJN figure. Now, will it stay in the card forever? I don't know, but I really do like the idea of owning an LJN in card, and it's in such good shape, I can't make myself take it out. So, for now, Dusty will live on in the plastic prison, and will sit on top of the shelf. I like the idea of having a on-card LJN, even though it's not a real LJN, it's a remake. I like the idea of having an on-card retro. I have a Sting WWE Mattel retro. I've got several zombie sailors. I have a Jeff Jarrett, which I got signed by him at Appalachian Mountain Wrestling last month. I have a Matt Cardona. I have a Danhausen, all on card. So it's cool to have those figures. Now, I did have LJNs as a kid. Don't get me wrong, but they were secondhand because by the time LJNs were out, I think they stopped making LJNs in 88. I was 1 year old, but I was alive for the Hasbros, and I had a ton of those. I had I can remember my favorite Hasbro as a kid was, and I don't know why, I guess it's because everybody got them from Toys R Us, was the Bushwhackers. And I had them and I loved them. My favorite WCW Gloob was, I had a Sting, and I fucking loved that Sting. I wish I had that Sting to this day. Someday I'm going to go back and try and get the Gloobs. I had the Brian Pillman. That was the last Gloob I ever owned. I had that until the day I sold all my wrestling figures before I went to college. And it's crazy to think that I held on to the Brian Pillman that long when all the other figures didn't make it. But I've been rebuying over the last 5 years my childhood of wrestling figures. I already have every every Spider-Man figure I could want. So then I got into buying wrestling figures again, and now thanks to Matt, I have my first LJN on card. And honestly, it'll probably be the only LJN I ever keep on card because I am a Dusty Rhodes guy. I fucking love Dusty. I love Cody. Hold on. Like, this is how much I love Cody. I have the Cody Rhodes Wheatley American Vodka. So like, I am a Rhodes guy. I love Dusty. I love Cody. I like Dustin. I wouldn't say that I love Dustin. So, but